Right, here we are for episode 3, I guess you could say, for our Crocs podcast. We still need to think of a name for it, so I think we'll work on that in the near future. We'll get some of our supporters out there to throw up some ideas for us. Mick Nelson here, joined by Rodney Anderson, the stats man, as I like to call him these days. Not DJ Rod anymore, the stats man.
Good.
And we're here for podcast 3 and talk about how the boys have been going in the next 8 to 10 games and our run into the final. So how you been, Rod?
Yeah, really good. Going well, working hard with the team and just trying to catch my first big Barra. The Barra season opened yesterday. That was my main aim, but team-wise, we're working hard, trying to get move up the ladder and get to the playoffs.
And ongoing on that, the boys have had a pretty good run since we've last chatted. Obviously, the last time we chatted, they were about to take on the Melbourne Tigers, which did become our second win of the season.
Yeah.
We then went on and a big run from there, and it's been a big turnaround of the season. I didn't want to say it the last time we chatted, the X factor as such with Mr. Luke Nevill, but I'm going to throw it out there now. I am going to throw it out there. He has brought a whole new dynamic to the team in the sense of is that it's taking a lot of pressure off the boys on the outside.
Yeah, Nifty as they call him now. He's a massive presence inside. He's 7'2" 3/4". He's wingspan. He's he's got a presence on the block down low. He sucks in the defence and it gives space to guys like Peter Crawford, Todd Blanchfield, Michael Cedar. But definitely he's made a big difference, and the other big difference is his defensive presence around the ring. He might not get a lot of shots, but just watch the way he plays. He'll be on the split line help, and he'll be changing shots around the basket. So you can't teach 7'2" 3/4" every day. He's just that all game long.
In going on that too, I don't want to take away from anyone else in the team, but Gary Ervin, our other import, he has just taken his game to a whole new level. Basically, I'm going to go to say is in the fact that I think he's playing better than when he won the MVP in the league a couple of years ago. Now he was playing way better than that season when he was playing for the Hawks. So that factor and the fact that Luke's in the guts there and Rusty's finding his feet again. Those kind of factors all the team seems to be gelling a lot more. I mean, we're not having huge wins, but there are facets in it that are very pretty. And
if you say that Gary Ervin's not playing to the level of his MVP, well, he's playing just as good as that. If Luke Neville's a major factor in the way we've been winning, Gary Ervin's just as much so. And you have to remember that Jacob Holmes hasn't played the last 6 or 7 games. He's very close to returning, by the way. But the way other guys have stepped up, like Peter Crawford last week, 14 rebounds. That was his career high in rebounds. Russell Hinder, that game, can't remember who was it against, but long bombs, 4 out of 5 threes, and getting offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds. Everyone stepped up to take the place of Jake, who is a major player in our lineup. But then you look back, we've won out of the last 8 games, 6 wins and 2 losses. The 2 losses against the top 2 teams. And a lot of people are saying Perth and New Zealand are so far ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, I don't want to agree with that at all, because I think we're the only team so far, probably in the last 10 to 12 games across the board, that have taken those teams to the limit. Yes, fair enough, Wollongong gave them a good run before they came here and got done by us pretty badly. But the way the boys played against New Zealand and here at home, and then against Perth in Perth, which is, I don't think people really understand the difference when you play. I mean, yes, it's one thing to play an opposition team in their home gym, but when you play Perth in Perth, let alone their new stadium, which holds twice as many people as their old stadium did, that's a big thing. And I think the boys, and you'd probably be able to reiterate or at least tell me if I'm right or wrong on this one, I'm sure the boys would have walked away from that game pretty disappointed.
Well, it's Rusty on his Rusty's rap for Jupiter's Townsville. He does a video every week. He said people ask him, would you rather lose by 3 points to Perth like you did last week or lose by 30? And he said, no doubt you'd rather lose like that with a shot in your hand to try and take it to overtime. Definitely rather do it like that, because you walk away with the confidence. We almost beat Perth in Perth. We were up in the 4th quarter. We just lost to New Zealand going down the last quarter there. We were up. You definitely would rather those games to go in, build your confidence, because then we go into the next game thinking we've got a shot here, we're a chance. So and looking forward even to next year, there's already been talk about trying to re-sign Gary, Ervin and Nifty for the next 2 seasons possibly, maybe an extended period. So we don't normally do that. We don't try and get guys until the season's finished, because we want to try and focus on this season, but we've broken the mould, and hopefully we get those guys.
With that, what do you think the chances are of getting Gary Ervin and Luke Nevill back on the roster? I mean, I've heard a lot of rumours already of other people outside of the NBL looking at these guys. I don't know how true they are, and you never know how true they are until the report comes through that the person's physically signed. But I've heard some big rumours that there's NBA teams looking at Gary, and I'm for sure NBA teams looking at Luke again.
Yeah, Luke's definitely got an NBA out clause in his contract. I'm sure about that. Gary would have one as well as a European one. So Gary of course wants to go and play with his girlfriend or his fiancée. She's currently playing in, I'm going to have a guess and say Prague. Serbia?
No, she's in Prague. She's in Prague.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's Prague. Anyway, when she was here over Christmas, New Year's, I was lucky enough to interview her over in the Golden Arches room. Right. So, lovely lady. Obviously, she tells Gary how it is. And,
they played a game 1-on-1. She was up like 10-0, and he's like, okay, right, so you're serious. Okay. And it ended up 11-10, Gary won.
Oh wow! But they are a beautiful couple, so I can understand why he'd want to play overseas in the same area that he's
Gary and I are brothers.
Is it brothers?
Yeah. Both of our girlfriends are 6 inches, or wives 6 inches taller than us, so we've got a bond there.
I'm not even going to go there because mine's the opposite. And she might smack me if I said that too. But anyway, so just quickly touching on the last 8 games we've had before tonight's game, where we take on the Sydney Kings. We've like Rod said, we had the 6 wins, 2 losses. The only 2 losses were against Perth and New Zealand. Do we take into effect though that 4 of those wins were against Adelaide? Yes, they're a strong team on paper, but I don't think they've been a strong team on the court.
Bad luck to Adelaide. It actually turned out to be a great thing. You look at the schedule at the start of the season, like we got Adelaide 4 times in 5 games. It looks terrible. But for us, where we were, 0-10, and you see we finally get that breakthrough win, and then we've got that same team over and over and over again. We've got so much confidence out of that. Yep. We went on the road. We've got some confidence. We're winning on the road now. It's great to come up against great mates like Luke Schenscher and be able to beat him and say good day, but then still beat him and then move on to the next game.
He shouldn't have left, and it wouldn't have been an issue.
That's true. But that Adelaide series for us, it was like a playoff. It was like, if we don't start winning these games, we're not going to make the playoffs. We're going to end up, 0-28 possibly. But it grew and grew and grew, and now we've got, 6 of the last 8 games.
And I guess the big thing about those, even though we had the 4 against Adelaide, the win against Melbourne was a good win for us, because that was our second win.
Yeah.
And they were playing pretty good ball, and they still are playing pretty good ball at times. But they were playing pretty good ball that night, and it was another gritty win for us. But then the win against Wollongong, the last home game, I think I'm going to say that the boys went up a level. Yes, Wollongong have had some unlucky injuries in their team, and they were missing Lance Hurdle and Reece Martin, who were big losses for them.
Yeah.
But the boys took it to another level, and that was a game that they needed to win and win big. And I think, the score wasn't ridiculously big, but that was a big win for the boys, and I think they showed that they're ready.
And it was like a statement game for us, just saying that we'd beaten Adelaide 4 times in a row. People saying, well, you've only beaten Adelaide. Well, Wollongong were in the top 4. Yep. Another bit of confidence that we got out of playing against those guys. So another confidence level that took us then to playing Perth over there and having the confidence to take it to them. Of course, commiserations to Glenn Saville finishing your career like that, mate. I hated you for 2001 for being the grand final MVP.
Not bitter at all.
Anyway, Stav's had a lot of run-ins with guys like the Green Machine, our vocal supporters here, and everyone loves to hate Glenn Saville because that's the respect we gave him for how great he played. So,
and that's exactly right. Glenn Saville is one of those players that he's not going to be score 30 points a game.
Younger in the younger days he was, but
yeah, but I still believe you get the same intensity from him now as you did when he first started playing.
Definitely.
And I'm sure people like Rusty who have played with him
yeah.
and played against him since the early days will probably have the same sentiments. Is that he is one of those players that sort of, I won't go say he went through the league unnoticed, but he's never going to have the from the outside, from the people that don't follow basketball deeply like yourself and I do. He will never get the response and the respect from the players, the supporters that just watch games.
Yeah.
Whereas like Andrew Gaze, everyone knows who Andrew Gaze is, or everyone knows who Shane Hill is.
He wasn't a household name.
You couldn't go to every single supporter that follows the NBL and say, Glenn Saville, who is he? And they'd be like, did he play for...
Definitely every team and every player knew who Glenn Saville was and what he did. He was... in his press conference, I'm pretty sure they said, or it might have been Millie, the general manager of the Wollongong Hawks, said he's probably the best small forward Australia's ever produced, and you can't really argue with that.
No.
He's been fantastic. He might have flown under the radar for a lot of his younger years and then towards the end of his career, but in the prime between 2002 to 2009, he was fantastic.
I'd have him on my team any day.
Oh, definitely.
I would have him. He would be, if I was playing schoolyard basketball, if I was playing a game of pickup and I got to pick my team, and he was in that group, he'd be one of the first people I pick because I know what I'd get from him game in, game out. Would have loved to see him in a Crocs, didn't you?
Nah.
I know it wouldn't have happened. I would have loved to have said that's just me, but I mean, it's one of those things. So it's a sad loss to the NBL that he is retiring, but I could happily say he should be able to hold his head high. He's leaving on a good note, not on a bad note.
Yep, bad luck, fan of pants, and we'll see you around the court somewhere. Of course, I think you'll be travelling with the team still, so we'll see you around the track somewhere.
I wonder if he'll go into coaching.
Probably.
He's
a pretty smart guy.
That's it. Now, while we're on Wollongong, we'll sort of go down this run while we're going there. Obviously, coming up in 3 weekends' time, the boys have got a double header.
Yep.
They go to Perth, play Perth in Perth on the Friday night, and then on the Sunday they travel down to the dreaded Wollongong.
Yep.
And take on the Hawks there, which is also our supporters tour.
Yeah.
And sadly I can't make it this year. I was going to do the double run, but work restraints hasn't allowed me to go away. But you're going on the supporters tour, so that's always a good weekend.
Yeah, myself and the bride will be there, and meeting a whole heap of people that I've just ran into or talked with on Twitter, or just happened to be part of the NBL Twitter family. So I'll meet a whole heap of guys down there and have a bit of fun. Hopefully see the Crocs get the Hawks, which really they've been our bogey team for 10, 15 years. So it'd be great to go there and take 120 of our own fans and make a bit of noise up the back and bring that win home. So the 16th and 17th of February, I think it's the 17th, the game.
Yep, because they play Perth on the 15th, which is the Friday, 16th, and then you fly down on the 17th in the morning, is it?
Okay.
I can't remember, to be honest with you.
Yep.
I know it's,
Never been to Wollongong, so...
Take a surfboard. You got a surfboard?
Millie, show us a good time, brother.
Hook us up. I wish I was... I'm a bit jealous that I'm not going, but these things, so obviously I'm putting you on a mission.
Yep.
Take the camera with you and get some stuff for us for CrocTV.
Yeah, we've got a podcast on the road.
That's what I like to see. Excellent stuff, that one. Now, moving on from that, seeing we're talking about games that are coming and that kind of stuff, our run home now, I honestly believe, and yes, I'm biased, but I think the Crocs have the easiest run through the finals. We just seem to be having that... we seem to be playing all the teams that we need to play to get into that top four.
It could be true. I've done the spreadsheet like I do every year, the playoff run home, and have a look at who's playing who and where the home and away stuff is. And the two teams who play Perth and New Zealand the most are Cairns and Melbourne. So that's the teams who play the top two the most, those two teams. So they might have a tougher run. We play Perth over in Perth, and that's it for the top two teams. We've got 6 games away and 4 at home. So we've got to start winning some games on the road. So we're 6 and 11 now. 6 and 12?
6 and 12.
Okay, 6 and 12 now. We really have to win at least 7 of our next 10 games to assure our spot in the top 4.
Yep.
So
look, it's not an unrealistic ask. No. I mean, you look at it. Wollongong are only 2 games ahead of us, and they're on the same level park, so we've played the same amount of games.
Yep.
So that's a good judge. It makes it a little bit easier to judge. Yes, Melbourne have only played 17. I think Cairns are on 17 games as well. I think the biggest thing for us at the moment, Sydney's on 20. They've played 20 games, so they're 10 and 10.
Yep.
So they're 4 games ahead of us, but they've also played 2 more games than us. So if we beat Sydney tonight, that'll push us 1 game further closer. Look, I honestly believe that we've got a really good run. I mean, you look at Melbourne's run. They've got Perth at home and away.
Yep.
New Zealand at home and away.
It's tough.
They play us twice at the end of the season.
Yep.
And Cairns in between those as well. Now it's one of those things in the sense of is that that's not an easy run home for them. And I mean, there's a lot of talk that they're probably the form team, but I think they're very hot and cold at the moment. They'll have a good win, but then they'll have a bad loss.
Well, that was evidence last week. They go to Cairns and lose up there, and they go home and then beat Adelaide. They had lost pretty badly in Cairns. Cairns played pretty well. Melbourne didn't really bring it on the road, so they went back home and a bit of home cooking and a nice soft bed. And they played pretty well against Adelaide, so that's the team they can beat, hot and cold.
Yeah.
They have a tough run. We think, not just 4th is achievable, we can get to 3rd as well. So we have to keep on winning though. The more games we win, the easier it makes for us.
Because that's the next question I was going to ask you. Can either Sydney or Wollongong hold on? I'm not going to say they're both going to hold on. One of those teams is going to drop off. Then I honestly believe at this stage it's Wollongong that's going to drop off the thing. I just don't know. It's hard to say. Their new import's pretty interesting.
Yeah, Malcolm Grant.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Wiz has got a bit of a connection with him. He's got a connection. They're from Brooklyn. Everyone's got a connection with everyone in Brooklyn.
It's like, I thought Brooklyn was a massive place, and every import that comes out here from New York, that's Gary's boy. He knows him from...
Apparently Gary brought him up a bit, trained him up and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what's going to happen in the sense of where the boys are going to leave themselves for the end of the season. Look, I definitely believe they're going to make the top 4.
Yeah,
they're definitely. The way they're playing, as long as they can play out these games. Like the win, last week against Perth would have been a sweetener.
Yeah.
Not only I reckon it would have taken the monkey off the back because we haven't beaten Perth in quite some time. But the way the boys played that day just says to me that, I mean, every other team, Grantley Bernard has tipped us to be in the top 4.
Good for Grantley.
I know, it was a big call.
That's massive for him. I bet you Andrew Gaze did.
No, Andrew went Melbourne. He said, because the question was asked...
Andrew picked Melbourne?
the question was asked, who was going to, out of the bottom 4, which one of those teams was going to push for the top 4? Grantley turned around and said us, Townsville Crocs, and of course Andrew's going to say...
What's the saying? A tiger never loses his stripes?
Something along those lines. I still think Andrew thinks that they're going to win it. It's one of those things. Hey, look, who knows? I mean, anything can happen. There is still, we've still got 10 games to go, so anything is possible. It's one of those things, I guess. But yeah, so like I said, we got obviously Sydney tonight, Cairns next week at home, which is another big game for us as well, because not only until we have been playing against our northern rivals, the Reptile Rumble, and I've still got a bitter taste in my mouth from what their spectators left for us last time they left the stadium.
They've gone quiet lately.
They have gone very quiet. I do remember them shouting out something 0-6, and I think they were almost on that run themselves, and I was going to tweet it back to them, but I'm not that kind of person. Not that kind of person. I'll save it for next week when we wallop them. But also happening next week, we've got a very special guest who'll be at the game. Nathaniel, for those X Factor fans, Nathaniel was in the top 6 last year. Got knocked out by Samantha Jade, who eventually won it. Who? Samantha Jade.
Never heard of her.
Oh, it doesn't matter if you haven't heard of her. As long as you've watched the film clip. She's a lovely lady.
Oh, really?
Oh, lovely lady. Beautiful lady. But yes, Nathaniel made the top 6 and got knocked out by Samantha. So he's playing at the game next week. He's going to sing the national anthem and also sing a couple of songs during the half-time breaks. That's a nice little touch on the side of absolutely walloping the Taipans as well. I mean, so it's one of those things. So put that in your diary, people.
There might even be some people from Cairns who'd like to come and see Nathaniel play. So get on the plane. They always bring a plane full of Skytrain's plane down.
They do bring a nice bunch of supporters down.
I like actually seeing Cairns play and seeing them beat all the southern teams until they're playing against us. So there is a northern connection for us and Cairns. We like to see everyone else get beaten by each other, but when we play against each other, all bets are off. White line fever. Our fans hate each other. That's okay. It's great.
That's it. So that's on the 9th of February. So if you haven't got your tickets for that, make sure you get down to the Entertainment Centre or jump online and book that as well.
Jacob Holmes might be back at that game.
Yeah, well, I have heard whispers of that. I was going to ask you the question. I was lucky enough to speak to Jacob last week in the last game in the Golden Arches, and he said the knee's coming along, or the leg's coming, the knee's coming along quite nicely. You know,
Start scouting Fernie.
He's quite happy with the progress of it. He was very lucky though. For those people that don't know, you got any more info on what actually happened? Just to explain to him a little bit.
He hyperextended his knee at training. I was there when he did it, and it didn't look that flash. He didn't think it was that bad at the time. They went and just did their scanned it just to check up to see how it was going, and the bruising on his knee had actually moved down his knee just a bit lower, and it was actually a stress fracture there as well. So it was pretty bad. It was a lot worse than what they thought it was going to be. The weird thing for Jacob was he didn't feel any different. He didn't feel it was hurt. It wasn't sore. Of course, after games and stuff, he'd ice it and look after it and treat it really well. And he does his yoga too, that he thinks helps everything. But it was hard to take that. Like 1 minute you walk around feeling like you're okay, next minute, you know, something. If he kept on going, it could have been an injury like Russell Hinders.
Yeah.
So it could have been a career-threatening injury. So he had to be on crutches. He couldn't put any weight on that knee whatsoever. But he's done everything the doctors asked him. He's had another MRI and it looks pretty good. So he's close. He's close.
And I just want to put it out there, all the other teams out there must be a bit nervous about that, especially with the way the boys are playing at the moment without him. He still is, and I'm pretty sure, and I'll double check that in a second, but he's still the leading rebounder.
Yeah,
hasn't played for how many games now? He pretty much hasn't played the last 8 odd games, and he's still the leading rebounder.
Jacob's the type of guy that's not going to hurt your team when he comes back. He's going to complement. Yeah. He's going to add to what they've already done. Like the guys have all done so well to be keeping in rebounding battles, except that one game we really crapped the bed. But Jacob is not going to take things away from the team. He's going to add to the team. So we're not going to go backwards and then build again. We're going to keep on going forwards and forwards. So
for sure,
that next game on the 9th of February, get your tickets at tecc.net.au. You can go and book them there. And Nathaniel at half time, so that's going to be heaps of fun. I am looking forward to that.
I just double checked. Jacob is still leading the rebounding. He's 8.3 rebounds a game. He's 0.2 above Daniel Johnson, which I don't ever recall seeing him pull in a rebound, but obviously he does.
Isn't that weird? Like we had Clarence Tyson leading the league in rebounding, like 16 or 17 a game, and now I know it's only 8 minutes short of it. We're only got 8 a game leading the league.
Do you think the game's changed much from back then to now? Other than take the game length out of it.
Yeah.
Do you think the game's changed much, or do you think that back then there was more, okay, he's the rebounder, just give him space so he can rebound the ball. And now it's like get bodies in there. And
Clarence was on another level with rebounding. He was unbelievable. He was 6'5", legit 6'5". He wasn't any taller than that. He just ate glass. That's just what Clarence Tyson did.
Good jump.
Yeah, had an explosive jump. The other thing was, like, we didn't have a lot of other guys around him to help him either. So, Luke Nevill wasn't taking rebounds off him. Todd Blanchfield wasn't racing in to steal some rebounds. So,
or getting tip-ins and stuff like that.
So Clarence didn't have a lot of help, but it feels weird. That
it does, and I've raised that issue before with people in conversation.
And 18 points a game leads the league in.
Well, how long did it take us before? How long did it take for this season before someone hit a 30-pointer?
Yeah, a long time.
A long time, and back in the day, that was common.
Yeah.
But that was back in the day too, when there was very much one person.
But team. I could go on for a while about this, but the league is so well scouted, and I do a lot of scouting for the Crocs. Liam Flynn does the main bulk of it. I help out a little bit, but Perth have got a guy that they've flown in from the States. Used to work with an NBA team just for scouting. You get 6 or 7 days to scout an individual team. You play 1 game a week. You work on their stuff all week long at training. You get to see every single play. We can link into a system now we call it's I'm not going to say what it is, so other teams might not use it, but we look
there's
at
a system out there.
There's a system out there that we use, and you can have a look at every play that every player has played this year, every shot they've taken, every travel, every pick and roll. You can look at every single bit of vision and scout a team. So it would be close to the most scouted and the best scouted league in the world. And that's just what it is. Defense is that much better now.
Now, one thing I want to touch on just before we wrap up, our last home game was part of Heritage Week.
Yep.
And I just want to touch on that bit because those people that missed the game, it was actually quite a buzz actually to see a few of the old faces pop up. For those who didn't know, Pat Reedy, Rob Rose, Andrew Goodwin, and
Shane Frolling.
Shane Frolling rocked up for the halftime entertainment with some of the boys from the Cowboys. Glenn Hall was there, Michael Morgan, a few of the boys, other boys out there as well. He had a big 3 too. Did you see that?
No,
it was huge. But yeah, they got out there and did a bit of a shoot around. But it was what excited me though was the fact that Pat rocked up in his North Melbourne Giants uniform.
He won the championship in that uniform.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I think it still smelled like he'd won the championship.
Rolls was wearing an old Bullets jersey.
He started in his Bullets jersey, then at halftime when they swapped ends, he took that off and had his Spectres singlet on.
Really?
Yes.
He does.
I was quite surprised it still fit, really, but I mean, hey, these things happen. But in saying that, speaking of Rob Rose, as of last week, before last week's game, held the club record for games, which was 258 games. PC last week against Perth hit 258 games for the club. Tonight against the Sydney Kings, or for those people who are watching it later, obviously it's last Saturday. Yeah. Just to confuse you, know what I mean? The 2nd of February, PC 259 games for the club. That is huge. Yes, he had a couple of years break playing for the Wildcats. We won't hold that against him too much. But 259 games for one club is a big thing at the best of times, let alone a club that's been around 20 years. So it is a huge thing. And
don't you love the story? It's in the paper today, the Townsville Bullet. And I remember Rob telling the story once before. PC, 18 years old, he was really skinny back then. He didn't have a lot of meat in his bones. And you wouldn't believe it, PC could not shoot for a lick outside the three-point line. His game was slashing and athleticism and dunking. He tried to dunk on Rob Rose in one of the very first trainings. Rob just rose up with him and put it away, blocked it out of the stands, and just laughed at him like a little 18-year-old kid trying to dunk on the MVP and the legend of the club. Rob loves telling that story just to get him one back, because he might have his record now, but he's still got that block that he had. But
I'm impressed that he tried to dunk full stop. I wouldn't have even had the gall to try that.
That was all he did. He was just long, gangly, athletic, and tried to dunk on Rob. But and that's just a testament of how hard PC has worked on his outside game. He came from hardly being able to shoot at all outside to being one of the league's best and going to the Olympics because of his outside shot and his work ethic. That's gotten him so far now, and to play 147 games originally, and then coming back and finishing off now to get 259. Outstanding effort for a guy from Mount Isa.
Definitely, you can't say. And that's that last bit you just said there is the key to it. He's from Mount Isa. He's part of the North. He's a North Queenslander. So what better way to have a North Queensland basketball team? And fair enough, we don't represent all of North Queensland anymore now that the Taipans are there. But he is from the North, and I think that is a big thing in any sport. To have a local as your club stalwart.
And the story goes that his mum moved him and his brother Thomas, his older brother Thomas, to Townsville so that they could have a better opportunity to play state league basketball and hopefully then one day the NBL. So their mum had the forethought to move them to Townsville. It's 800 kilometres away. Thomas, in his younger days, was way better than Pete. Tommy can play. If you've ever seen Tommy play, left-hander.
Beers and stuff like that.
Yeah. Tommy's the party boy. But and you'll ask PC, the two people he credits for getting where he is his mum for giving him the opportunity, and Tommy for pushing him as hard as he did when he was younger. So
still probably one, and his two best supporters too, obviously. That's a given because it's family. But I know Tommy is one of his biggest supporters. He flew over to the Olympics and followed him around like a bad smell, as a brother would always do. And I'm sure he threw a few things at him from the crowd, like saying, "How's the seat?" and all that kind of stuff.
Of course he did.
As Tom would. So kudos to that, and congratulations again, PC, on a huge milestone. And the scary thing is, he ain't finished yet.
No, not at all.
I'm scared to see where the record's going to finish. Will anyone ever match it again? In this day and age, in turnover of clubs, less games played per season now, will someone ever knock off that thing? Or how, maybe a Mitchy Norton or something like that?
That's the only person I could think of. Mitch Norton, hopefully he plays for the Crocs for the rest of his life. He started when he was 20, I think he was, last year. He's been around the club. He was actually with PC and Mike Kelly and Rob and Goody and Brad Davidson. When he was 7 or 8 years old, he was with the team every day, rebounding in the school holidays and then rebounding before games. If anyone could do it, it would be Mitch. I'd love to see him do it. A guy born in Currajong, went to Currajong High, State School, Pimlico High. That'd be unbelievable.
It'll be a huge thing. So once again, congratulations PC on 259 games for the club tonight. Many more to come. I could see easily another 259. Like, I'm going to throw it out there.
That'd be nice. That's another 10 years. He'll be 80 then.
That's all right. He's still young. He's younger than me, so that's the main thing, I guess.
But he looks after his body.
He does. He's pretty well. So congratulations on again. So we're wrapping up, guys and girls. Don't forget next week's home game against the Cairns Taipans. It's a big one. It's the Reptile Rumble. It's always a huge night. Nathaniel from X Factor will be playing as well. Then we've got the away, the doubleheader, Perth and Wollongong supporters tour. If you go on the supporters tour, have fun without me. Make sure you bail right up. You'll be running around with the camera at some stage, so don't be afraid if the microphone gets thrown in your face. Then Cairns away, Sydney away, then 2 games at home. Wollongong again at home, and then Melbourne on the Sunday, which will also be the TV game, I'm pretty sure, from memory. We will double check that. I'm sure we'll do another podcast before then. And then 2 away games against Sydney and Melbourne, which is the doubleheader weekend to finish off the season. Then the final series. So it's as simple as that. 10 home games or 10 regular rounds to get games to go.
Yep.
Then the final series after that, and then a trophy to be lifted.
Hopefully. So catch us on Twitter. I'm DJ_Rod or at TSV Crocs, and you are.
I am. I've got to think about it. I never typed my own name. It's at Barking Frog MC. So check us out there. Throw us a line if you've got any suggestions of what you'd like to hear, or even chuck the Crocs one. It's at TSV Crocs.
Yep. Facebook.com/GoCrocNation. Make sure you get on that and put a comment below and tell us what you think, and keep cheering your Crocs on.
Yes, that's it, because we are aiming to be the #1 NBL podcast in the world, as Andrew Gaze would say. We're gunning for you, Gaze. Don't you worry about that. We're gunning for your title, mate. That's it from us for another podcast. Thank you very much for listening in. All I've got to say is go, Crocs, go!
We all love our sport here in the North, and there's nothing better than winning in front of our passionate supporters.
And it doesn't matter what sport it is.
As North Queenslanders, we know how much support can help getting behind a team. So now is the time to get behind our mates, the Crocs.
We go as often as we can and love the amazing atmosphere. So come on, North Queensland, we support the Crocs and they support us.
Now it's up to you.